Hello everyone and welcome back to the Keep Productive YouTube channel. It is Francesco here. It's good to be back with you guys. I am excited today to be chatting with you guys about Evernote. Now, in this video, we're going to be touching on, I guess, two key areas. We're going to start by talking about the Evernote's new features, and we're going to be diving into specifically the ones that Ian Small and the team have pre-confirmed in their behind the scenes series. We're actually going to be talking about four of the main ones and sort of digging into them and what it means for you as a user in the next couple of months. Then the second part of this video is mainly going to be, I guess, a rant. It's going to be talking about the experience of Evernote and how fast they're progressing. So we're going to be giving you a bit of feedback on that, but also giving you some constructive stuff, because I guess it's not about just talking about it, it's about giving you the best advice in terms of making your decisions with Evernote. So guys, without further ado, let's dive in. So to get the ball rolling, let's talk about some of the newest Evernote features that they announced during this behind the scenes series. Now, I will link up in the description all of the videos that we mentioned and all of the release dates that they've given, although they've been very obscure with them. So let's start with the first feature, and that is better web search. Now, this feature was with the designer, I believe it was the chief designer, Mariano. They had a chat about the search experience inside of specifically the Evernote web version. So this is a better web search. Now, their goal with this new web search is basically to make it sleeker and smarter when using it to type in. So for example, the new search will allow you to filter, get suggestions, and connect with existing notes. So for example, if you work with someone in a specific Evernote notebook, it will allow you to open that notebook specifically with that person and even search inside of there. It's not any different, I'd say, to the existing search. It just looks faster and looks more, suggestion connected, which is nice, and it's a lot more attractive to say the least. And it's available through this sidebar, so it doesn't really distract you for a drop down necessarily that blocks some of your notes. Now, they haven't really given this a release date, but they say it's been handed off to developers and will be available on WebOS. Now, the second feature is a new improved editor, and I'd say this is probably the biggest change that we'll be seeing. This one is already in beta, and it aims to address a problem Evernote's had for a while, something I've even mentioned here on Keep Productive. This is something that Evernote essentially wants to solve because they have 5 different editors across the 5 different platforms. And what they want to do with this one is create a cross-platform solution that unifies all of the experiences. And this will really help. Now, this one specifically Ian chatted with Sasha, who is part of the one who is sort of leading this new editor design. And she talks about everything from the headers to the news section dividers being changed, even adding multimedia, improving fonts, which is something I know a lot of people have been sort of getting angry at Evernote for a while, and even updated checkboxes. Now, I've actually had the opportunity to play around with this, and I'm glad it's sort of been released in the wild so I can talk about it. Now, I'm going to say it's not a huge release, I'd say. It's very similar to what the Mac editor looked like before, but having this experience on mobile will actually really, really improve your overall experience. And what I like about it as well is that it will obviously, when there's an update on Mac or when there's an update on the iOS version, I guess they'll release it across all platforms, which is really, really good. Now, one of the things that I wanted to touch on in this feature specifically, that Sasha touched on, is the new tables. Well, obviously the tables have been out for a while, but they have this sort of drag abilities in tables. Tables look a lot more fluid than they did before. And I think that level of functionality is something that they continue to focus on, because I guess that's where Notion is taking the lead, is the actual sort of multimedia databases side of stuff. And if they can crack that egg in the next couple of updates and build this sort of core that will allow them to, then they do have a good running. Now, in terms of release date, this is already in beta on all devices, I believe, so keep an eye out. Obviously, I think, if I'm honest, it'll probably be an August release as they start to sort of fine-tune anything and bring it out. But as you can imagine, we'll cover the news here on Keep Productive. Now, if you sort of want a break or you want to read this article or these features, we've done a Medium article that you can read about the 4 Evernote features, which we actually dive a bit deeper into. So if you just want to jump off this video and watch all of the original content, then please do. But make sure you're subscribed, of course. Now, number 3, it's a better service reliability. Now, this one was the 3rd episode in the series and talks more about the infrastructure and cloud abilities of Evernote. Now, this is a lot more technical than I'd say other people would want to know. And this channel with Unka, who is part of the infrastructure team, covering the stability and reliability of Evernote and how it works in reality. This, I'd say, is more of an education video for those existing Evernote users that want to understand how things work. And they also address the issue that Evernote had a few months ago, I believe, with an outage. And hopefully Unka can sort of patch Evernote up so that it doesn't do this in the future. Now, they're going to be continually working on this because, of course, service reliability is number 1. But as you can imagine, they didn't give a specific release date because it's a very generalized system. Now, the 4th and final update that they mentioned is a better iOS and Android mobile buttons. Now, this is really very simple, but it actually improves your experiences. I think this will be a big update for a lot of people. Now, at the moment, you obviously can add stuff using your Evernote account, but I guess it's a little bit messy because nobody knows what that quill does and that actually opens up. So what they've done is they've created this unified new note tab where you can open it up, and it gives you option from choose a template to add reminder, record audio, start sketch, add attachment, and take a photo, scan document, blank note. And that's actually something that I know a lot of people will love because this is a good news. This is like, okay, I can now access all the stuff at a quick glance. Instead of having to add a note, go into the add multimedia. I hate doing that, especially when I'm trying to capture a document on the go. This is going to speed things up a lot. Now, the release date they've stated it's going to be released in a coming months, which I do hope is before August or at least at the end of August, because I guess it looks almost done. But again, you don't know what the developers are working on. It's going to be available on iOS and Android. I think it'll clean up a lot of experiences. So guys, this second half is going to be a little bit of a rant. I'm going to tell you, as an Evernote user for maybe 7-8 years now, blimey, that's a long time. So just to give you a bit of clarity, I am still an Evernote user. I use Evernote more these days like I would Google Drive than I do Notion. So my Google Drive is a place to store my documents and be able to, like find big files, heavy files, and even create documents. But my Evernote is a sort of middle ground. It's a place for me to store anything from travel, financial information, past house documents, and stuff I can access quite easily on the go and be able to share and send to people when I need it. So Evernote has been this really useful resource for me over the last however many years I've been using it. I still use it today. I don't upload it as much, but I still definitely use it quite actively. And I am on the Evernote free plan, so I did dock down based on how I was using it. But I would say that Notion actually hasn't replaced my Evernote use. Notion has replaced my Trello use more. Now, Notion lacks for me certain reference abilities like files. I want to be able to locally store it, being able to clip stuff, and also being able to have the sort of knowledge that everything's uniformly organized in these notebooks. I still can't get away from the Evernote structure, and that's why I use it and haven't transferred all my data over to Notion in terms of having a setup there. So that's my sort of mindset with it. But looking at these updates, they are some good updates, but they're not great updates. I know Ian's focus has been reprioritizing the basics of Evernote, and I do believe that's what he should be focusing on. But for me, I'm a little bit annoyed at how slow this has come out. Now, don't get me wrong, I really loved the series where they focused on it because that actually gave you an insight into the sort of plans and features. And actually, it reminded me, it gave me a bit of nostalgia to the Phil Libin, who used to be their CEO. Those sort of days when you got a bit of an insight, a little bit of like conference vibes. Evernote used to have a yearly conference where they dived into the topic. And it gave me a good sort of feeling about the future of Evernote, I guess. But at the same time, when you look at the facts, like, for example, Notion is a 20 roughly person team, last time I checked anyway, and Evernote is a pretty large team now. And you sort of compare the rate of development, it does have a sort of impact on you because you're like, why can't Evernote develop faster? But of course, I know there's more red tape at Evernote. Evernote tend to be a little bit better on how they release features, I'd say. In my opinion, it's a lot more formalized. There's a lot more sort of thought process behind it and how it affects a system. Like, they're not going to release a feature that affects how GTD users use Evernote. Whereas Notion at the moment are just sort of flinging out features in an effort to sort of unify it later. So I guess my sort of feelings on it are Evernote should move faster with the sort of development packages that they've got. That's just my opinion, but I do, and I'm very excited for Evernote's future in the next couple of months. Now, here's my window or timeline of opportunity. I'd say if Evernote release these features and give us a bit of a timeline on what things are working on by the end of the year, I'd be a happy puppy. I'd actually be really looking forward to what 2020 brings and how Ian's going to tackle that situation. But at the same time, if they don't get these features out by the end of the year, I will be a little bit annoyed because these are features that sort of patch up the existing experience and should be really prioritized in terms of getting out. Again, I'm not a developer. I worked in marketing, but I still would appreciate as a user these features to be released. So that's my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I really hope this was constructive because I didn't want to necessarily just poke and go, this is annoying. I just wanted to give you my thoughts. I'm sat with a cup of tea in my lounge. Like, I'm literally just want to sort of express my thoughts on this whole situation and how it's molded out. And I'd really love to hear what you guys think. I had a question I didn't have a question. I had a message from Don, who's one of the Keep Productive Plus members. And he was like, I'd love to see more content about Evernote. And I do 100% agree with him. And thank you, Don, because needs to be more Evernote content. The last couple of months on this YouTube channel, I have primarily focused on Notion and internal wikis. And whilst that's good for many of the amazing Notion users out there, I believe it's important to collectively bring together. There's nothing wrong with Evernote now. It is still the behemoth of a note-taking application that it is, and I do want to focus on it more. So stay tuned for more setups and more tours of Evernote, because I do want to give you guys a better idea of how to improve your use as they start to bring a comeback into the mix. Anyway, guys, if you are not subscribed here, please hit the subscription button, because it'd be great to have you in this Keep Productive community. We're soon to be releasing an Evernote community soon on Facebook. So you can always keep an eye out for that. It's going to be called Evernote Made Simple or something like that. We'll work on the name. I'm not too sure. But it'd be great to have you in that community once it's done. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for stopping by today. Make sure to have a great week. Keep productive. And I will see you guys super duper soon. Cheers, everyone.